She walks in shadows, yet I know her name. This is not a tale of a stranger, not of a figure that creeps into your life without warning. No, this is the story of someone who has always been there, watching, waiting in the corners of your mind, lingering in places you never thought to look. She is the reflection you missed, the memory you overlooked, and the presence that will never be forgotten once she has shown herself. It all started in a room, dimly lit by the glow of a computer screen. 4 people sat together, their eyes glued to the flickering display, as a mysterious conversation unfolded before them. They had no idea who was on the other side of the screen, no idea how deeply their lives were about to change. A message appeared, simple at first. Give up. The words were unsettling enough, but it was the next message that sent a chill down their spines. You already know me. Their breath caught in their throats as they exchanged uneasy glances. What did this mean? Who was this person? No one knew, or at least no one was willing to admit it. A third message came through, cold and cryptic. Check the mirror. A sense of dread filled the room. What could the mirror possibly have to do with this strange message? They slowly turned their eyes toward the only mirror in the room, positioned across from them. The reflection was quiet, still. Nothing seemed out of place. But then, something caught their attention. One of them stepped closer to the mirror, squinting at the glass. A faint outline appeared, a shadow that shouldn't have been there. And then, they saw her. There, in the reflection, stood a woman. Her presence was unmistakable, though she was not one of them. Her lips curled into a smile that sent a wave of panic through their chests. Her eyes locked onto theirs, dark and knowing, as if she could see right through them. Their hearts raced, and one of them dared to speak, whispering the question that hung heavy in the air. Who are you? Before they could process her answer, the screen flickered again, and another message appeared. You've seen me before. You just don't remember. The room grew colder. The screen was still, but the feeling of someone, was overwhelming. None of them typed a response. None of them dared to move. But the words burned into their minds, the chilling realization settling in like a weight they couldn't shake. They knew this woman. They knew her in ways they couldn't explain, yet her name, her face, eluded them. Another message appeared, this time more direct. Think. Close your eyes. Who do you see? Hesitation hung in the air. The silence was thick. But one by one, they closed their eyes. Images flashed behind their eyelids, brief but vivid. A shadow at the corner of their sight, a familiar face in the background of a forgotten memory. The woman, standing just outside their awareness. She was always there, a figure lingering in the edge of their thoughts. And as realization hit them like a wave, they gasped, their eyes snapping open. The mirror was empty now. The woman had vanished. But the screen remained, displaying the final message. Now you remember me, and I'll see you soon. The room was heavy with unease. Their breath came shallow, their fingers trembling above the keyboard. What had just happened? What was real? And what was just a figment of their imagination? As they searched the room for answers, nothing appeared, out of place. The mirror was still there, the same as always. But the feeling that something was amiss, that they were no longer alone, hung in the air like a thick fog. A final message flashed on the screen, unsettling in its finality. You always looked right past me, but I was always there. A chill ran down their spines. The air seemed to grow colder still, as if the very space around them had shifted, had become something different. Had they been haunted by this woman all along, in the quiet moments of their lives when they weren't paying attention? Her shadow had been cast in every corner, every forgotten memory, every fleeting glance. She had always been there. The silence in the room deepened, stretching longer than it should have. And then came another sound, a soft knock at the door. The knock was slow, deliberate, echoing through the quiet space. Each tap sent a shiver down their spines. Their fingers hovered over the keyboard, but the screen had gone dark. The conversation had stopped, as if it had never happened at all. Another knock. Their heartbeat pounded in their ears, their breath coming faster, shallower. They turned toward the door, fear creeping into their chest. It was late, too late for visitors. Every logical part of them screamed not to open it. But there was something deeper, something primal, urging them to turn the doorknob. They hesitated. Their hand hovered unsure over the door. The screen had gone dark, and the words from the mysterious woman echoed in their mind. "You already know." With a breath that caught in their throat, they called out, their voice barely more than a whisper. "Who's there?" The silence stretched. For a moment, and then came a voice, low, familiar, and unsettlingly calm. Silence. Then a soft chuckle. "You've been looking for me, haven't you?" That voice. It was impossible. They hadn't heard it in years, but it was the voice of someone they knew, someone they thought they had forgotten. Memories rushed back, crashing down like a flood. It couldn't be. But deep down, they knew it was true. Hand trembling, they turned the lock and slowly opened the door. The hallway outside was empty. The dim light from the room behind them cast long shadows across the floor, but there was no one there. The air was thick with something unseen, something that clung to the space around them. They stepped forward cautiously, their eyes darting left and right. But there was nothing. Then, out of the corner of their eye, they saw it. A single envelope lay on the floor, right where someone should have been standing. Their breath caught in their throat as they bent down, hands unsteady to pick it up. The envelope was cold to the touch, and when they looked at it, their name was scrawled across the front in handwriting they hadn't seen in years. It was a name they thought they had forgotten, a name they had never expected to see again. With trembling hands, they tore open the envelope. Inside, there was a single note. "I never left. You just stopped looking." The words struck them like a blow. The woman, they hadn't been imagining her. She had never gone away. She had always been there, waiting, watching, until they were ready to remember. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows stretching further as if the very walls were closing in around them. Suddenly, the door behind them slammed shut with a loud crash. Their breath hitched as they spun around, panic rising in their chest. And there she was. She was smiling, watching, waiting. Her eyes locked onto theirs, and they knew. They knew who she was. They knew her name. They knew she had always been there, and they would never forget her again. The room seemed to close in around them, the air thick with the presence of something otherworldly. The shadows that had once been so easy to ignore now danced around the edges of their vision, closing in like a web. And though the woman was still smiling, they realized with a sinking feeling in their chest that they had never truly known her, not until now. She had been with them all along, waiting in the shadows, and now they would never be able to forget her.